Let us first acknowledge that the land now known as Solano County is the traditional land of the Patwin people, who now live on as the Yoshadihi Winton Nation. Acknowledgement is just the first step. Please take the time to learn more about indigenous history.
So as you probably noticed, driving around town, there is a construction activity is in full gear. There's a lot going on in Dixon. A lot of it is residential development. Part of that is driven from the high demand for housing, COVID and people trying to move out, the high quality housing product and desirable housing type that is being built out in Dixon is attracting a lot of people. Most of that is in the Southwest and South Dixon. In a development called Homestead. And Homestead has some more future phases that will be coming online, as you'll hear about in a few minutes. So all of this residential development is in accordance with Measure B, the local growth control measure, which has limits on annual housing starts that can be issued. And on a little side note, we will be providing an update for you on Measure B at one of your council meetings in May. There's also some commercial and industrial interest and opportunity. Most of that, of course, is focused along Highway 80 corridor and the Northeast Quadrant and the Central Core from along First Street, from 80 down to just above downtown. So before we jump into that, though, I thought it would be helpful, because this is one of the kind of first things I did when I came in, just to get a little perspective of what sort of activity do we see. So looking back for the last 7 years, looked at building permits issued as the primary metric I was trying to look at. And just to be clear, building permits is not just new starts or new construction of brand new development. It includes everything. It's electrical, plumbing, water heaters, re-roofs, remodels. But it's a good gauge of the level of activity that the community is seeing. So what you can see is it's been a steady increase, from 2014 to now. The average over the 7 years is about 858 permits. And you can see that that average has been pretty much reached from 2017 on. If you look at just 2021 through almost the end of February, we'd already issued 277 permits. If you did a linear projection of that to kind of estimate what we might see by the end of the year, that would come out to 1,662 permits. I don't think we'll be there. I think the linear thing doesn't work all that well, but just to give you an idea, it's already pretty hot even in January and February. Now, the permit and impact fees is a little different metric. It's not always equal to the permits issued. For new construction, new commercial, new housing, any kind of new development on vacant land, those sorts of projects are going to have a higher amount of, or they're going to actually have all the impact fees, which you don't see in remodels, renovations, tenant improvements. So you can see that the impact fees are what's driving the higher permit and fee numbers that we've seen. But it's also been a little bit of a roller coaster, but generally trending up. One of the questions you may ask, which is what I was trying to figure out, is how did we already get to 4 million by February? Well, most of the permits that we've issued this early year have been for new residential and a new multifamily apartment complex, which is driven heavily by impact fees, which is what's generated the higher number. But the takeaway here is that it's been a steady upward trend of activity. So we'll start with talking about different areas, and we'll start with the Southwest Dixon area and specifically Homestead. This was part of the Southwest Dixon specific plan. Taylor Builders is the master developer that is building out this project. So what they do is they do the site work, the entitlements, the infrastructure, the backbone, and they kind of coordinate everything. Then what they do is they sell individual pieces to home builders or commercial developers. So the Homestead area, once built out, would have about 904 homes, 131 affordable housing units, 302 active living units, 33 acres of commercial, a 20-acre community park, a neighborhood park, and other public facilities, infrastructure and so forth. So currently, what you'd see out there is there's 3 villages under construction right now, all in phase 1, Village 1, Village 3A, and Village 3B. I'm still trying to wrap my head around all the village numbers. But bottom line is that there are 3 different builders, D.R. Horton, KB Homes, and Richmond, that are building 70 to 88 lots in each of their little villages. Richmond Americans also have the park is being built in their little village area. So those are all under construction, all vertical, selling well, moving fast. There's 3 more villages coming online soon. Again, Village 2C, 3C, and 4. Again, you can see there ranges from 47 to 60 lots. Meritage has 2 of those communities. Those should be, starting construction any day now. The Taylor Morrison site might be a little bit longer. They still have to get their design review and entitlements. There's also some future single-family residential in different phases. In phase 3 and phase 4, 85 lots in phase 2A, and 74 lots in phase 3. And I'm going to show you a map here at the end to kind of just show you graphically where these things are. There's also an active adult senior living phase. One of the interesting things I'll say is that I get about 1-2 calls a day from people asking about this product. There's a lot of interest from people in surrounding communities about the active living product here in Dixon. So a total 301 units. It would be in 4 different villages, spread out over 2 different phases. The master developer, Taylor, still does not have a home builder for this product. They're currently in negotiations, but what they are going to do is they are actually starting to process the design review package for the clubhouse and recreational facility, and we'll start building that as they finalize their deal with the home builder for this phase. The affordable housing component would have 69 senior units and 62 non-senior units. They would be rental, and they'd be affordable through restrictions at the moderate income level, which is 80 to 120% of the county median income. Now, moving on to some of the non-residential items, Homestead would also have a commercial piece that's being called Dixon Orchards. It's the former George's Orange and some properties to the south. It's about 10 acres in total. It's part of phase 2B. George's Orange has been purchased. The other properties are currently in contract by a commercial developer. They have a plan. They will be submitting it in the next probably month or 2 for review by the Planning Commission and Council. It'll be a combination of highway commercial and community commercial type uses. It'll be basically along both sides of the extension of the Gateway Drive that will go south into Homestead. There's also another phase of commercial in phase 2A at the corner of West A and Gateway, which would be a part of phase 2A. Phase 4 has a 20-acre community park, which is at the corner of Evans and West A. And phase 5 has more commercial. That piece of property is actually not owned by the master developer for this site. It's owned by a different entity, but that's basically Batavia Road west to the freeway.
Oh, well.
There's 2 other projects that are not homestead related in the Southwest. One is a Gateway Plaza expansion, which is 3 retail buildings of 21,000 square feet. That application has been filed for planning review, and it will require Planning Commission action. So that's right behind the Chevron off of West A Street. And then there's also a senior care facility which has been approved by the Planning Commission, but they have not yet submitted for building permits. This would be a senior care with amenities for up to 100 residents, a 2-story, 68,000 square foot building on 2.1 acres along Gateway Drive. It's right behind the ARCO site.
Wow.
So here is a the kind of the graphical image I'll give you. So this colored map depicts Homestead and the boundaries of Homestead. Most of the current activity that you're seeing with the single family development is in this area. If you can see my cursor, that's called phase 1. The phase 2A and 2B are over here. And in this area kind of south part here is all the active living units, the 301 active living units. And the clubhouse recreational facility will be here. This part of phase 2A will be just regular single family. This is the community commercial piece. This is affordable housing piece. This is kind of the Dixon orchards piece. That would be part of phase 2B. Phase 3 is here in the middle. Phase 4 is here. This is also partially not owned by the developer currently. The community park would be in this part, and the rest would be residential. And then this would be phase 5. And the 2 other non-homestead projects I mentioned are right up here in this area, right off of to the north side of West A Street. So there's also some activity in southern Dixon. So Park Lane is a subdivision that's been around for some time. Richmond American is building out the last 2 phases, which would be 121 lots. That would bring Park Lane to a completion. You also have Heritage Commons, which is the affordable housing component required of the Park Lane development as part of the original development agreement. That's already seen 2 phases of building of 114 units, first in 2014, and then a second phase in 2016. The last phase has been approved, been funded by various grants and so forth, and it's now under construction. That would add 44 more units to Heritage Commons and complete that build out. Those are all affordable senior housing units. And then the last subdivision in the southern part is these Valley Glen. And this was a subdivision that was started some time ago, built out by Pulte, and then they stopped, and it's been kind of dormant for a while until the last couple of years, where you've seen a lot of activity to finish it up. Richmond American is taking that on, home builder. They're building currently phases 3-1 and 3-2, which is 110 and 122 lots. And they're nearing completion on those. And they have got Planning Commission approval of phase 4-1, which would be the last phase, 84 lots. And they're currently acquiring that from the master developer, and building permits are to be submitted soon. So with that phase, that would complete the development. There is one small piece of Valley Glen. It's a community commercial piece right on North First Street. It's owned by a different entity. There hasn't been a lot of activity or interest in recent time. That's right at the entrance to Valley Glen on North First. So here is a map to kind of help orient you a little bit for all those. So this is the Park Lane development, which is just south of the high school. Heritage Commons is here. And they'll be building on this piece of property in the development and this little piece right here. This is Valley Glen, this area here. These are the 2 phases currently under construction. This is the last phase that has been approved by the Planning Commission, and we're awaiting building permits. And then this is the commercial piece right here, right at the entrance. So moving up north, there's some activity there. There's a new Popeyes restaurant that was approved by the Planning Commission. We're awaiting building permits. It's right next door to the current Popeyes. No, we're not going to have 2 Popeyes. They're just going to relocate to a newer, more modern building to represent their brand. They share a space with a gas station now. There's also a fueling station addition that will go in right south of the new Popeyes. That would be an expansion to the existing gas station 76, in which Popeyes is currently located. That's been filed and it will require Planning Commission review and action. The I-80 dispensary is under construction. That is just below the Cattleman's and next to Popeyes. It's going to be a two-phase approach. They're currently putting in the parking lot and a temporary building to get up and running. And then their plan is to build the permanent building, which is this picture over here. That would go right next door to the current one they're building now. And then the current one will be used as parking. There's a proposal for a dual brand hotel and a drive-through just behind the current Popeyes between Dorset and the freeway. It's a 4-story, 2-brand hotel with a drive-through pad, drive-through up front, hotel towards the rear facing the freeway. Here's an elevation. That application has been filed. It's under review and will be going to the Planning Commission soon for their review and action. We've also got an application for the Lewis development, which is at the southeast corner of Lincoln and North 1st Street. That's a mixed-use project. Planning applications have been filed. It went through a study session with the Planning Commission some time ago. It is awaiting the general plan because the current project does not meet the current industrial zoning. So it needs the general plan change in order to be consistent with the general plan. And it will also need zoning amendments. And the milk farm. There is a potential new owner. They're in contract to purchase the milk farm. There's no plans, no applications, no ideas. Just they're doing their background check of previous studies, previous information, trying to get a feel for what they might want to consider. But I just wanted to let you know that. And these couple pictures here might jar your memory and take you down memory lane there.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also a senior care facility on Lincoln Avenue that's been approved by the Planning Commission. Building permits have not been submitted. This one's a little bit smaller, accommodating up to 49 residents, has 41 rooms with all the medical and other service amenities. And then moving kind of slightly over to Northeast Dixon, we have the Scannell property, 500,000 square foot warehouse building. It's under construction for the utilities and a lot of the infrastructure right now. That's been approved. We're still awaiting the building permits on that. And then in the Northeast quadrant in general, there's a lot of interest and a lot of questions. A lot of people are trying to understand and address the infrastructure issues. There's no applications or any specific proposals that we received at this time, just fielding a lot of questions. And here's a map that might give you a little, get your bearings straight there. So this is kind of the Northeast quadrant in general. The Scannell project's right here across from the Walmart. You've got I-80 dispensary, the Popeyes, the fueling station addition, proposed hotel, the Lewis development, and the senior care facility. So looking forward, we'll continue to see build out given the current economy, current trends, continue to see build out of the homestead. Based on current targets, the master builders should be completed with all the infrastructure and have all the different pieces sold off by 2023. There would still probably be some construction after that by the individual home builders in phases. Valley Glen and Park Lane with the current 2 phases will be completed, and that should be 2022, 2023. And we're going to see probably more and more interest in that Northeast quadrant area. It's a very attractive location, very desirable area. So some of the kind of preliminary issues I've noticed in just looking back at the last couple of months is, as you heard last meeting, infrastructure, utilities, and primarily stormwater is one of the main issues in that Northeast quad. Sure, that's not a surprise to you. Second, I would say that the volume of activity that we're seeing versus the staffing level that we have in building is not matching the needs. The volume is going up, and the level of involvement is, and the volume of plan checks and the turnaround times are starting to drop and fall. So that's something that we're looking at right now. Continued pursuit of funding for the Parkway overcrossing. I think you got part of this on your agenda later tonight, but that's a big piece to that southwest and southern area to provide safe and convenient and quicker cross connection. And then the last thing is kind of updating all the ordinances and plans following the hopeful adoption of the general plan in the coming months. And I'll talk about that here on the next slide. So as you know, the draft general plan and the final EIR are completed. They have been posted for review before adoption hearings start. They were posted on February 17th. The location of all the documents, including the staff report, is listed there. So the Planning Commission will conduct its review on March 9th. Once they complete their review, whether it's that meeting or maybe another meeting, it'll come to the council for final review and adoption. So that's to be determined based on what happens with the Planning Commission. But we're hoping it'll be sometime this spring, whether it's maybe or April to May. But the issue I was talking about a second ago was kind of the tasks that have to follow the general plan, and these are important and critical. The general plan adoption does not automatically change all of the underlying documents and regulations. Those also have to be updated to be consistent. So your general plan is consistent with your zoning ordinance and specific plans. And that's one of the main ones, is that the zoning ordinance would have to be updated to reflect at least be updated to reflect the new land use classifications and the new land uses that are identified in the general plan and adopted by the general plan. Some of the mixed use areas are expanding, and that would all have to be updated and mapped. My kind of review of the zoning ordinance as it is it's really extremely outdated. It's extremely confusing and cumbersome, and introduces a lot of complex and confusing processes, and it's not easy to use for developers, homeowners, business owners, or staff. So a complete overhaul is something that we probably should look at to modernize it, simplify it, and streamline it. The other item would be the housing element. As you know, we have to do a housing element every 8 years. Our current housing element is good through 2023. The good news is we're working together collaboratively with other cities in the county and the county itself to do a lot of the work together as in the background to save some money and have a single consultant help with data collection of all the data for the county, and then each city would use that and try to use the same consultant to have some economies of scale. So that'll kick in right after the general plan is adopted and needs to be adopted and updated by 2023, which gives us about a year and a half. And that'll be good for another 8 years. And then the last item is the Northeast Quadrant Specific Plan. With the adoption of the new general plan, if it's adopted in its current form, there would be some changes that would make the specific plan inconsistent with this general plan with some of the new land use designations and so forth. So that would have to be reconciled. So with that, I threw a lot of information at you. I'm here to answer any questions, or if you have any comments, I'd love to hear those.
Does anybody want to make a comment now, or should I go to public comment first?
Public comment.
Okay. Madam Clerk, can you see if there's any public comment on the presentation?
To provide public comment via video conferencing, click on raise hand. Via teleconference, press *9. Questions and comments may be emailed to publiccomment@cityofdixon.us, or messages can be sent by chat to the meeting host. We do have one hand up, Mayor.
All right. All right, Council, back to you. Do you guys have any questions?
I have a question. I have a comment.
Sure.
Rafi, I really appreciate that fast tour of the city and what's going on. It was very well done. Thank you.
Welcome.
I too have a comment.
Go ahead, Mr. Peterson.
All right. Hey, Rafi, you did a great job. Appreciate the update. Very, very detailed. And it is a true statement that we are busy here in the city and we're growing. So good job, and looking forward for the success of all these projects.
Anyone else?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, yeah, Mr. Johnson, please.
Yep. Yeah, thank you. Well, my first reaction is, holy smokes, Rafi, with as far as the staffing is concerned, I'm kind of thinking you might want to think about working a second shift, whether it's swing shift or graveyard. Either one of them we'd be perfectly okay with working something out with you on that. Do you think you could do that?
Of course.
This is just a fabulous update. I'm thrilled. There's so many wonderful things that are going on in Dixon, and I know a lot of the things that you talked about are in transition, but I also know that a lot of those projects are very well on their way. It is very exciting the next few years, and I'm just kind of blown away. I know you started in the beginning of December, so you being able to get all this under your hat and kind of know what's going on, the direction it's going, I congratulate you for that. Thank you for spending some quite a bit of time to get this all put together. So I'd love to see something like this, maybe semi-annual or something, but this was a great report. And I just want to thank you for it. Terrific job.
Welcome.
Absolutely. Mr. Vice Mayor, you have anything?
Let me unmute him, Mayor.
He's having trouble unmuting, apparently.
Oh, there we go. Thank you, Lupe. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, yeah, just two questions, Rafi. They're unrelated questions, but two questions. One is the permitting. You were talking about the permitting and the fees were way up, but most of it was done by the new construction. And I know that, I guess it was about almost a year ago that we restructured the permit rates for the smaller items like water heaters and small buildings and stuff. And I've gotten comments that maybe there are some inconsistencies there, and that some of the things are high and some of the things are low. And I was talking to a contractor the other day. I certainly won't mention his name, but I go, "What do you think about it?" And he goes, "Yeah, some of those things are really high." And I go, "Well, what do you do about it?" And he goes, "Oh, we just don't pull a permit for those." So I thought, that sounds like Dixon, and I think that you should look at that. I would suggest maybe next time we talk that just look at that, take a look at that permitting and see if maybe it needs one more go over to polish up the rough edges. So maybe that's just a comment. And then the other thing I wanted to ask about was the zoning that's going to follow the general plan. It seems to me that from what everybody I talked to, that just a complete overhaul of that zoning would make more sense than patch it up again. And but I hear that could cost upwards of $300,000. So I just wanted, maybe if you could comment, if you're ready to. I know you're just into your seat of a few months. So if you're not ready, that's fine. But maybe comment on what you think about the full overhaul and if that might possibly save you some labor because of an easier zoning code. So those are my two things.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
There is somebody that has requested information from the chat as well.
All right. Is a city clerk have something on there? Can she read it?
I'll read it and I'll respond to it. So this resident is asking, will all the development south of downtown begin again? Will there be additional roads added so not all the traffic to the high school and to those homes go through our downtown? So again, where that to answer that question is the future development of Parkway. And Rafi went over that just a little bit. And so that in itself will be a big help. So for the future of moving that traffic around downtown. So hopefully that answers that question, but there is a plan out there for future road development.
All right. I'll echo on what most of my colleagues have stated. In addition, I wanted to comment on a couple things. As far as the Northwest development goes, there are some issues that we really have to be very attentive to and focused on, and that's the drainage issue. And currently, between myself, Mr. Peterson, and the city manager, we are trying to make that happen with our county partners to work through that and figure that out. And hopefully we'll have more to report on that in the near future. Along the same line, I am the representative for the city with the Solano Transportation Authority. And I have been approached by the director of that organization about having a meeting and kind of designating a plan and a roadmap to how we foresee and what our options are for funding the Parkway overpass. And so this is another meeting that will involve the city manager, myself, and our engineer working with STA officials to see how they can complement and possibly provide additional funding for achieving that goal. And that's along the same line that Mr. Peterson was referring to earlier. So there's a lot to be done, but there is a lot happening. So I'm trying to stay optimistic, and hopefully that those meetings that need to take place with the people that have the authority to make those decisions will get done, and we'll continue to move forward. So thank you, Rob, for your presentation. It was very informative, and I'm sure it was as well, not only for us, but for the people attending the meeting this evening.
If you like this video, please be sure to hit that like button. Be sure to subscribe to Solano Futuro if you want to hear more about development in Solano County, and hit the bell to be instantly notified whenever we upload a new video. And of course, be sure to visit Solano Futuro to learn more about all new projects in Solano County. We'll be sure to keep you updated on all new developments and El Futuro. Until next time.